Hello and welcome, friends, as we bring you the Overwatch section of CEA, the Corporate Esports Association. I am RichRad here with ManofClass. We've got a first of three coming up today, and it's between two teams that we're quite excited to see. Isn't that right, ManofClass?
Oh, it very much is. It's Mace to the Facebook from, of course, Facebook, and G9Lul from Google coming in here to, well, basically have a rematch of what we saw last season because they were respectively the third and the fourth team. G9Lul getting up third place and Mace to the Facebook getting fourth place. So, of course, Mace to the Facebook wants to, well, reverse that situation back then. Wants to come in now as the victor for this match and let's see if they can actually manage to do that. We've got well quite a few maps to go between these teams. So whoever comes out on top is of course gonna have those bragging rights, and we'll probably be able to talk to them after that and see if that's still some rivalry going on between them.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, I had the opportunity of casting the upper brackets towards the playoffs last season and actually recognized quite a few of these players. So that's the other dynamic to this, is that we're seeing a lot of consistent individuals year over year, from especially when it comes to G9Lul. We've got Charizard, who we've seen before. We've seen B. We even have Electric joining. And then even from the opposite side, again, Mace to the Face, not a stranger in this. Facebook does have a lot of teams involved in this CEA tournament of Overwatch, and it's really excited to get back to it. I know myself, I've been doing more of the Valorant segment this season, but getting back to the old roots here to cast these two again is gonna be quite an exciting one. And I'm not surprised to see there's gonna be some rivalry here through this. I guarantee you towards the end, whoever we interview is gonna be feeling pretty confident about their victory.
Yeah, very much so. And I think as soon as the teams are ready, we are ready. We're just gonna go into the game because all we can do is ask the teams to show what they've got with their gameplay. I mean, they can make all the promises they want, but in the end, if you don't hit those shots, then it was all for nothing. It's all hot air, and that's not what
Gotta
we're playing for the true victories of the charities.
Indeed. Got to lay it all on the lines. And again, for those that are tuning in here for this Overwatch segment and that are a little curious for CEA, CEA is the Corporate Esports Association, where they take a nice spin on the traditional corporate sports leagues. Instead of playing softball, baseball, or any sort of physical sports, CEA offers a virtual field for competitive battles amongst these teams, all for a common goal, which is to their charity of choice. And as we enter in onto this map, it is going to be Lijiang Tower that we start out on first. And it is going to be the lovely, lovely Gardens to pick it off and start this night.
Yeah, gardens are looking to be, I mean, a very divey situation most of the time. We see a lot of, I wouldn't say we've seen a lot of meta shift lately. We've definitely seen a lot of meta diversity lately, even though there is the opportunity of a lot of mirror matches. A lot of teams will still tend to go for more mobile composition on a map that has so much, well, space to work with, but also, most importantly, environmental hazards, because you don't want to fall off. And if you have more mobility, you can stop yourself from falling off more often than not. So we'll likely see a lot of Winstons, maybe some Divas, but most importantly, we're going to see Lucios, and I want to see those boops. Saw a few earlier this week that were just insane, and I hope that Electric, and maybe even Kolvia, can live up to that.
3, 2, 1. Round 1. Capture the objective.
Yeah, so coming out on this, there is some difference between the teams. We'll definitely see Tejas coming out on the Genji, whereas O'Malley will be on the Pharah. So the Pharmacy from Kolvia, no Lucio on their side. A little bit less of his team speed boost, but still plenty of damage that will be hard to negate against without a Diva on Mod William. First fight's underway already. Lots going on here between these teams. A lot of firing back and forth. Derek looking for the negation of a lot of this damage on that Diva, but the dominant position so far is in the place of G9Lul. Mortal Wombat's the first to fall, though, so even though they got point percentage, they are missing that big main tank, that big body, that barrier that can help them being in the way, and O'Malley is just piling on the damage. Rocket after rocket is taking lives, taking numbers, taking names, and O'Malley is going to just clean up this fight together with Ludus and the rest of their team. Mace to the Facebook is just going to be a very, very, very happy team after this fight. Lots of ult charge, but still, 23% accrued, 24 actually for G9Lul. Nothing to be scoffed at, just a bit annoying that they had to give the point up that quickly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see it be thrown that quickly. But again, there was still a lot of value obtained in this here from, Mace to the Face. Ultimate stacked up pretty highly here to go into this next engagement, ManofClass.
Yeah, it is definitely
Oh.
the case. I am trying to get my feet up for you, so you can actually see this, Rich.
Yeah, no, you're
There
good.
will
I
be,
got it. We good. I can see now. I see
There'll
clearly
be
now
on-
because the rain is gone. But something that is gone is this capture point going in favor of Mace to the face. G9Lul is attempting to try and keep presence and take it back, but they're unable to do so because Mace to the face is in such a good position, and they also have a stellar ultimate economy pushing forward to try and compete against this.
Yeah, they definitely are in a very good position to keep on going, and 42% is, of course, a great start. Now, with all these ultimates coming online for G9Lul, it's definitely looking a bit rough for Mace to the face. They have to really be careful to not fall to a lot of these ultimates, and a Nano Blade is the first one of those.
Ooh, managing to get one in the back, specifically focusing on the support. Now looking for the far mid-air as this pharmacy composition. There goes bye-bye Birdie with the reposition and looking for a res on that fellow support, but there's still a lot of attention coming out from T-Just-B. And with the Bionade landing onto the Genji play, it forces a retreat. Now that you've got the Primal Rage on the front, though, from G9, it allows a possible retake here if the numbers are tried and true. T-Just-B also gets that barrier from Electric to survive for a moment longer, and there's a significant amount of Tesla Cannon damage coming out from Mortal Wombat on the front side to continue just whittling and taking down the health values of Mace to the face. And this EMP from Charizard should be able to secure it so that this point can swap back, but honestly, Mace to the face is still in this ManofClass.
Yeah, they're not out, and especially when that barrage comes out, it doesn't find value. But with the back up with the Graviton, it looks like G9Lul should actually be able to clean this up. As I stated, of course, Fishy says no, comes in with the Tracer on the grounded Sombra, and the Pixies keep going back and forth, Rich. It's too scrappy.
It really is. The scrappiness is real. These two teams are giving it their all. They want to solidify their gameplay before even reaching playoffs in this Swiss format. The overtime commences. A res comes through in the backside. O'Malley will be raining damage consecutively with these rockets as the assistants from Colvia continue to boost the damage, picking off one after another. G9 will not be able to keep that point much longer, but my goodness, in their pursuit of that first round.
It just kept going back and forth, and you see it sometimes happening on these control points where a fight just doesn't end, and teams, they can also choose to sometimes just end a fight. Just go regroup, go for the next one, because these long, drawn-out, chaotic fights are more often than not gonna work against the team that doesn't have control of the objective. So, yeah, Mace to the Facebook was happy to keep that going, and G9Lul, they were sort of lured into this false sense of security. It's like, we're going to be able to clean up this fight now. We're going to be able to clean up this point. But they would have probably been better off resetting, regrouping, find a new opening with some ultimates with an opening pick, and just give themselves more time to collect their thoughts. But unfortunately, Control don't always have that. Now we'll go on to Control Center, complete swap of compositions. Naturally, we'll see a lot of Ryan Zarya.
And the Ryan Zarya tried and true. The one I'm really focusing on is Charizard here with this main. But as I say that, you're going to actually see Derek go down instantly. Mortal Wombat up front with the Reinhardt play, giving a great lead and press forward into this nice even exchange. T-Just-B out of the fight, relying solely now on Charizard with the main to try and ground control and manage the opponent with only that DPS. With this push forward, though, Mace to the face plays it patient opportunity and takes it right away from G9.
Yeah, and having the Mei, having the Ana, it does actually put you in a position where you have to play a bit more quick burst. The longer a fight goes, the more value that Moira will find, and that Coalescence early on can just provide so much more value than a Nano Boost can if you charge, because you charge it a bit quicker usually. Now mid Redias will also, switch over to that Moira for that reason. That means we're always a mirror, but it's still that Mei versus the Tracer, and the Pulse Bomb needs to find some value. Unfortunately, it does not.
No, comes up short. You've got that Mei wall going to sever the team of Facebook, but they managed to survive through it. Going to digress back, playing very carefully here, not to allow themselves to be too far forward to get exploited, but you're going to have the Coalescence coming out to Derek, the fact that you're getting Charizard out of this fight is critical, and an immediate follow-up. Derek is 100 energy, literally breaking atoms in front of our eyes with that laser beam and just constantly taking this fight to G9.
I'm really liking the way that Mace of the Facebook is playing right now. Honestly, they just really have a good understanding of how to play their composition. They rush in and out exactly when they need to, have a good understanding of their rotations, and as well, mostly their ability cooldowns. Just managing those perfectly right now.
100% now ultimate comes out. There is a Blizzard Charizard. This is a win condition. It needs to get value here. It only really isolates one individual as a counter shatter comes in. Fine. Wombat, but the pulse bomb could actually equalize here. O'Malley with this Tracer coming in hot, secures the numbers advantage, and Mace in the face still looking to take this point.
And Tracer feels like such an unconventional pick with this combination of heroes. It's just such a lone unit that can easily be countered by most of what is on the online for G9Lul. And Charizard is just not able to hit the headshots. They're not able to bubble the right targets in time. They just cannot focus on the Tracer.
Oh, and the focus now is on all those that rely in the center of that grab. The grab now to counter coming out from William to see if they can maybe turn this fight into their favor. 99 into the overtime. Had to force Tejas be on the front side to try and keep it contested as Mace in the face now is going to get popped once again by the pulse bomb. Shield there to mitigate it, but there's still far too much for G9 to handle on this point. Coalescence is an insurance policy, and that's going to be Mace in the face, taking this first map of Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, Mace in the face just honestly coming out here with mostly the more coherent composition, aside from the Tracer maybe being a bit straight, but generally speaking coming out with a coherent team play. That's really what we're getting out. The Tracer does get the play of the game, but that was, yeah, the action control center with the double pulse bomb. You can see it right here after the shatter. That was not a hard one to hit, I'll be honest, but still have to press the button and realize that it's there, right? Have to wait for your Reinhardt, have the confidence that it's happening. It's still a team play effort in a lot of situations like that. But that's map 1 already over, Rich. It's a very quick one and a very confident one coming out from Mace to Facebook.
100%. I agree with that. You know, it's really going to be something that G9 is going to have to evaluate going into this. But again, control is always a very unique beast going into this. It kind of lays the foundation of, you know, who is able to, you know, be a little bit more scrappy, have an opportunity to, you know, take advantage early. And the other part of it is, too, is we see from statistics that about 70% of teams that take that burst control point more often than not typically take the control map as a whole. So again, that might change up as we go into this next map, but we're going to go to a brief break for a brief moment. I think there's some technical difficulties with one of the players, so we're going to allow them to reconnect. So don't go anywhere because we're going to see if Mace in the face continues on with this dominance or G9 has something to retaliate. Hello and welcome back. We're connected and ready to go. We've already just seen Facebook to the Mace, and that's not right. Mace to the Facebook, let me get my words right, against G9. Mace to the face managed to take this first round on control as we are now entering into Rialto. I am RichRad here with ManofClass, continuing on. ManofClass, we saw a convincing fight here from Mace to the face. Do you think that's going to carry over easily into Rialto?
I mean, so far they've been looking to be fairly dominant in not just the you know the brawly sense, but in the mechanical and team play sense. But of course, like we said before, you know, control is such a weird mode. Sometimes you need a little bit of time to adjust. The mode just doesn't give you that. So G9Lul has a lot of potential to still come back in here. We know how close these teams were not too long ago. So there's a good chance that we're going to see a lot of close matchup between these two, and we can still see G9Lul come back into it. Of course, it's a first of 3, so there's still maps to go. There's still a good chance for G9Lul to come back into it when it comes to that. And there were definitely quite some moments of brilliance, quite some moments that came out there like, yeah, I have faith. I can definitely see Tejas come in with a good DPS play, maybe even Charizard, William and Mortal Wombat. We're not necessarily doing terribly on the tank game. It's just that when that support pick was from mid Diaz, you know, coming in there on that Ana instead of the Moira, you know, that's an adjustment you have to make. There was just a few things that didn't quite come together for them, and if those small things are either fixed or changed or played differently, the outcome could also change drastically.
I mean, one of the biggest things that I would like to see is from G9 is, like you said, they have some moments glimmering hope. I think it's just that Charizard and T just in some cases where they found themselves being exploited, and Mace to the face acknowledged that aggressive position and were able to get a nice early pick, leading that snowball to where G9 at this point always had to play on the back foot.
Yeah, 100%. And now that we go into Rialto, doing those aggressive plays is still definitely viable, but you do have to watch a little bit more for flankers. And if you're early if you're aware of that early on, then your entire playstyle positioning around that changes. What can also really change is the way your composition is set up. Like we can already see here on the defense that Mace of the Facebook actually charges out here with a double sniper composition. Of course, the Mercy to damage boost both of them, and then the Ana to support both the D.Va and the Winston in their dive defense. It is not something we've seen often on Rialto dive. It's definitely good that it's back, but we're mostly interested, of course, in those double snipers. If they start hitting those shots, why do we even need tanks anymore, Rich?
Right. I mean, let's be honest. The other thing I'm really focusing on is the composition now from G9 as the doors open, and we're going to see TGSB come out on this Sombra. And I'm really curious to see how much value that's going to bring, because honestly, you take a little bit reduction in DPS as a total because you want to get more utility, and I'm curious if TGSB is up for the challenge.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we see a lot of Sombra Reaper happening lately, and if that EMP can be charged quickly, it is a complete stomp that you can run over the other team with, especially if they don't have a Sombra of their own.
And now with O'Malley on the high ground, getting some decent angles, but can't manage to find the sight line necessary for the shot. It's the dynamite in the back as well to try and pepper in some damage. O'Malley already surpassing 60% to this Bob, and that is rapid fire generation. O'Malley just literally left to their own devices up top to do whatever they want and get some serious burst damage. That's going to be for sure a Bob in a matter of seconds here, but this payload surprisingly is still moving forward, and the harassment finally dislodges O'Malley, but the fact that Bob is there, oh my goodness, beautiful sleep and response coming out by mid on the front side. That's going to allow a little bit of a hesitation here, but O'Malley has to be handled, ManofClass.
Yeah, they really do, but they at least got everyone now on the same angle. They don't have to watch the 3 different directions. That usually helps out a comp that has, you know, the Reinhardt in it. They don't want to play around, they want to play linearly.
Ooh, nice pin into the wall. Got the fire strike to give some assistance with Charizard collapsing as well. Sleep Dart allowing the little bit of a nap to come through. Nice coordination to not allow the Ryan to get up and give a full nap for that refreshing Dreamland end. Is now you've got it being just held before that checkpoint, and you've got G9 having to reform and fall back.
G9Lul starting out actually quite well on this map, but now they've just been pushed back so hard. They will come in with a very dominant ult bank though. They won't have to use everything even. If they play this correctly, they could just win it with an EMP, maybe just Shatter, maybe only a Death Blossom. It's all about finding that right opening, and then EMP is gonna look to be good, but they did get spotted out early.
And getting spotted out early, there is, oh, what a beautiful reposition. The Sleep Dart comes out a second too late. The Earth Shatter as well to get a nice charge. Oh my goodness, the perfect distance to make sure that only Ludus is going to get thrown off the edge and Ryan's going to be stuck on the boat. Will he be able to get back? As we've got Williams still maintaining this front line position. Oh my goodness.
He's still on it.
He's still on it. What? He just wanted to take the full boat ride. He wasn't stopping or jumping off the edge. He's like, hey guys, we're gonna need to reset because I ain't gonna be in that fight.
Gonna be honest, I think waiting for that boat to be back takes longer than if you just jump in the water and respawn and walk back.
I
think
know.
That's what he realized at some point as well. He's like, you know what? I'll just jump off because this will, yeah, that'll probably be quicker. But they only used one ultimate in that entire fight. They'll still have so much in the bank. And at this point, with 50 seconds left, you gotta start using them. You gotta just go for it. Pull those triggers.
And with T, this needs to be absolutely of great value. But the fact that you're shut down by the Mercy play and the Death Blossom from Charizard, it's opening up an opportunity to try and press onto this. Charizard gets bioed and is pressed away, finally gets the kill onto the Ana and the pin in the corner, despite the nano boost coming out just before the kill in the back line of the supports. 25 seconds to go. This payload is nearing that checkpoint, and again, Mace to the Facebook right now is keeping this going on for as long as possible.
The Bob and the Res, it's all coming together for Mace to the Facebook. So many ultimates used, so little purchase so far. The cart's barely moved, RichRad.
I mean, I have to give some serious credit. The amount of resilience from Mace to the Face right now is absurd, but it is yielding so much value G9 is unable to find the picks necessary to even the score here, and Mace to the face, despite the numbers disadvantage in 2 consecutive attempts to recontest on this point, have persevered and managed to cease G9's pressure to reach that checkpoint.
And it's all about which members do you pick off, which members do you get first, who are left, and it's consistently the right players that are left for Mace to the Facebook. Yes, it might be a disadvantage, but they still have the healers. They still have a DPS that does a lot of damage. They still have that tank that happens to have that ultimate that stalls for a long time. Whereas on the other side, you see such crucial picks go down. We saw one EMP come out there for the side of G9Lul, and then the Sombra just went down straight away as she used it. You see a Reinhardt, beautiful shatter, but you do it on a primal ranging Winston that you're never going to be able to follow up on. It's all these, the way the ultimates are used, which heroes are left, that are constantly in the favor of Mace to the Facebook, even though the statistics don't really support it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a tall task right now for G9. And as we take a look at the composition coming out, you see still a little bit of hesitation. TSB figuring out what they want to bring out, and they're actually going to bring out the Ash. They're going to take a chapter out of O'Malley's book, but we'll see how much value it's going to gain. And I'm also really curious to see if this Pharah is going to be punished. So again, if the Pharah comes out with the pharmacy with O'Malley, TSB again has a tall task ahead to make sure that getting just as much value as we saw on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, it's really supposed to, but of course now O'Malley goes back over to the Pharah. Is going to try and go for those flank plays over the building here on the right. Beautiful riverside. I'm a bit scared, not gonna lie. Like, T just needs to really start hitting that Pharah, and that Discord Orb should help out with it. That's going to be a very valuable tool. You still need to be aware of the Pharah's positioning at all times, and it is that extra flank that you still need to be watching most of the time.
Yeah, and as you said from Zenyatta and Electric is going to be very critical. There is a nice displacement here with the Rockets. You've got Derek pushing up front, managing to reform and moving. TSB being harassed in the meantime, getting very low, and really causing a problem where O'Malley has free reign to do what they want. Derek on the high ground, joining in with that Winston play from Ludus, and causing G9 to be in a very difficult position, but G9's actually still continuing to maintain this high ground very well, and it's honestly because of how they're mitigating these rockets coming in from O'Malley.
Yeah, and of course they do have a composition that does do a lot of damage mitigation. They have a composition that likes to fight in these tight corridors. And when they're on the defense, the dive has to come to them. They cannot really kite away because then the objective will never be pushed. So that's a very big advantage that this composition is having right now. With this position, this map geometry is playing completely in their favor.
Yeah, and the fact that you've got the Sigma play on the top floor and you've got the Reinhardt on the bottom, you saw a lot of the displacement coming out from O'Malley to try and him out into the open to be focused down, but that constant kinetic grass to mitigate the damage, the accretion for the stun, the shield rotation to survive, it's just doing this flux almost online, and a transcendence coming through. Ludus in the back is going to actually have the nano on the front to generate quickly to secure it, as O'Malley is left to their own again on the high ground, freely to do what they want.
There's the barrage. It just takes on one, almost two, and now the sides have flipped. The attackers are on the defense. The defenders are on the offense, and they're just trying to go into the spawn, but Electric gets taken down, and who's even left RichRad? This is going to be a terrible situation because they have barely enough time to get back to this point.
And then you've got the stagger onto Charizard, who's having to retreat, barely getting away, but does get found down by the Tesla cannon damage to that. Death Blossom is going to come in late for this final attempt. You have William along with Mortal on the front.
Don't do it.
No! Rage boops him off the bridge, taking a swim, but it's forced by the enemy this time versus jumping off a boat ride. And Mace to the Facebook is going to take the second map on Rialto.
I saw that Primal Rage ready to go. The Reinhardt on the cliff, like, don't do it. Don't boop him up. He's already been enough in the river. He's had enough playtime there, but nope, it had to happen. Nice boop here for Electric. Didn't quite get the boop on the first time. I think the second time, that's where the Reinhardt on the cart. It did actually have value to be there, RichRad. But he got the confirm. Mortal Wombat not going for a useless boat ride. Oh, wow. That was such a crazy situation.
It was so scrappy. Like,
what a match so far. I mean, even though Mace to the Facebook is looking very confident and dominant in their play so far, G9Lul is giving them a challenge, and it's still such a great game to watch.
Yeah, it absolutely was a fantastic game. And I mean, we could definitely say that right now G9 is feeling the heat. Like literally
Yeah.
fire all around them. So they have to figure out a way to extinguish this amount of heat that they're having tossed at them. And going into the next map, which again we're going to have G9 be able to select as the losing team here, going into it, what's going to favor them. I mean, O'Malley is just really doing a fantastic job right now on this Pharah. And the main reason why is because Derek and Ludus are giving so much space. And I mean, honestly, with that space given, O'Malley is able to just dominate on it. But there again, we see moments of G9 where they have really great strategies to counter it. That playing the two floors as they did was really great and forcing the dive to come to them. But once the adjustment and understanding of this type of strategy, Mace the Face has been really adaptive to find a better outcome.
100%. And of course, now that they get the hybrid choice, it's going to be the classic. It's going to
Yep.
be the one we've all been waiting for. I'm changing my background, going to King's Row, RichRad. It's going to go straight to London. And of course, G9Lul, I mean, they get the map pick. They get the selection of King's Row, the map that everyone loves and knows. And if there's ever a place where they can play most comfortably, most to what they want to do, where they can kind of almost force this Ryan Zarya matchup again, it would be King's Row. It has to be it has to be here that G9Lul is going to try and bring it back. And while you have seen moments of brilliance, there still seems to be this gap between the teams that they have been able to close. So Mace to the Facebook, maybe they start making more mistakes. Maybe G9Lul all of a sudden says, you know what? We were just throwing the first two maps. We got brilliant strats for this. You just watch us. I don't know. All I know is that we're gonna go to King's Row and just have fun with that one. I'm excited. I'm actually really excited to see this map again because actually I haven't seen it all week, RichRad. It's been a while.
Right? It's been a while for a lot of us, I think. I mean, Kings Row
Yeah.
either they don't look to opt for it, or if they do opt for it, it's later in the map pool, which we don't get to see. So when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to Kings Row, though, the one thing I really want to focus on, and Pharah is still a very relevant pick in this. And we've seen
Yeah.
this very dominant fashion from the combination of the pharmacy from O'Malley and Colvia,
Yeah.
which have not really been put in uncomfortable position. They are not ever
No.
feeling discomfort in this composition to either change or to play more defensively than aggressively. And that's, I think, still the one thing we said from the last round that's going to carry into this one. Can T just be step up to really put a lot of pressure on it? What are they going to do for composition? And also, do we even see maybe a compositional change from one of the tank lines, such as maybe a diva, to even for tension against this far a play? There's so many things that G9 is having to go through their mind about in this.
Yeah, there's really not an easy answer to all these questions, of course, but what you will see is that the off tank in Mod William on the side
Mhm.
of G9Lul has been playing a variety of off tanks so far, mostly on the Zarya and Sigma. But if they can also, for instance, play a Diva here and there, maybe go for something that has more of that ability to counter that
Mhm.
Pharah or at least deny some damage, there's more freedom for the DPS to take some extra angles. And we know that King's Row has that beautiful possibility of saying we're going to defend on high ground, put a Sigma and an Ashe up there, and that's much harder to dislodge for a Pharah that basically has a straight sideline when she comes out of spawn. So we'll see if that's going to be an option when they're on defense, but they're going to start on the attack. So we're first going to see what Mace of the Facebook wants to do here, bringing in Fishy together with
Mhm.
O'Malley on the DPS on the Reaper Sombra, the most meta thing we've been seeing in North America lately. I mean, it's not the highest tier. It's still quite high. Both these teams are actually up in the higher master regions as an average. So
Mhm.
it's definitely a very exciting one when it comes to that. And you can see that straight away in the way they play as well. You know, they go for those more known, familiar, standard meta compositions that we see even in the likes of Overwatch League. So 100% looking forward to what they're gonna do on that defense. But Tejas B on the Widowmaker gonna take an early shot, and then they're gonna go over to the Moira Lucio Reaper May. No Sombra for them this time around. And with
Wow.
the reduced value from the EMP, I'm actually not that unhappy about that.
And as the rush comes out, you've got the Lucio for movement speed to press onto the point. Hack comes through onto T just up front with a nice charging pin and a great follow through onto Ludus. O'Malley gets obliterated on the front side from the Zarya, as this is going to be a lightning fast ticks already. Third coming shortly after. G9 coming out with a vengeance after those two first rounds not going at all in their favor, and feeling confident transitioning in.
That's what they needed. I was a little bit worried because they didn't get the immediate value from the wall, but that charge is beautiful. Now though, Ludus, the double fire strike kill. This is not going to be sent back to spawn. Mace to the Facebook doesn't want to let that go.
No, and now you find this a very interesting position because Mace to the face is going to be relentless in the amount of damage and focus they will have in this doorway and the side one to try and push out and really hold this choke point. Again, this is a very difficult position to push through if you're the payload pushing team.
And I wonder what it is that Mortal Wombat is going to do with that Shatter, because they have to go in the tank matchup against Ludus and they both have it up.
That's a nice wall to come out, though, to sever. The team does get a pin in the backside. O'Malley goes down again, which we don't see any of that far a play. A nice exchange, though, getting rid of the Lucio, so the support is down, relying solely on mid. But there's too much happening in the front side. You lost your Reinhardt because Ludus got vulnerable in the back by getting the pin. Derek falls as well, and everything just basically fell into suit for G this archway and be confident to move through the rest of the streets phase.
Yeah, I'm very much impressed with the way they handled that with the Earth Shatter exchange. Ludus came through, actually got that Shatter off on a fair few numbers, got the charge in Electric, but meanwhile Mortal Wombat was able to just hold the rest of Mace to the Facebook up, got the Shatter off themselves later, and just cleaned everything up.
Oh, speaking of cleanup, there might be some following after with the EMP. There is the combination. Basically, I press ulti, we clean house, is what was going to say to the team. So that's a team wipe here coming out. G9 now going to be held at the doorway once again, but Payload still got a decent 81.8 here on the scoreboard.
Yeah. And look, you have 4 minutes left. It's not like you're strapped for time, so they're definitely in a good position. They got that Blizzard coming up together with the Graviton. Could be a good combo, or separate ultimates to use to draw the sound barrier out. But it's going to be grab first from Derek.
And now the grab with Derek going to get some value here as their follow-through. Blizzard actually going to counter, coming out from Charizard, opening this up, allowing an opportunity with 4 minutes. Again, as you said, a lot of time to work with. So even if this fight doesn't go in their favor, you do have the Death Blossom to try and close this engagement out. The side positions as well. Mortal Wombat going to regroup back with the payload, finding the Reaper and having to force that retreat. And that's going to be a good amount of distance gained, especially with these stragglers that are off.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good attack still so far from G9Lul. They're definitely more in their element right now when they have to get this matchup and when they have some more time to prep when they're on the attack or the defense. Because it's kind of what we saw in Legion Tower, but this time around they're just getting the right ingredients and a nice grab to follow it too.
Oh, but the Earth Shatter knocks down 3 at least, but there is a quick reform. Nobody there to follow up onto it. Bull tanks down on G9, preventing this checkpoint from being reached at just over 1 meter. Mace to the face now going to clean up with that Death Blossom towards the end of it. Feel like that was a little bit of an overcommitment. Could have held on to that to bring to the next fight, but regardless, they still have the EMP going in.
Yeah, but this time around they won't be able to combo it with that Death Blossom. That's what wanted the fight last time. And now if Electric can just hide, just make sure they don't get EMP, they can completely counter it or at least negate a lot of the follow-up with that sound barrier. That's going to be what this fight's all about, that matchup between Fishy and Electric.
And as we see the high ground, O'Malley looking for it. Nobody sees it. The EMP comes through onto all 6. Who needs the Death Blossom when you literally are just a sneaky Reaper in the backside? But, you know, there's still some opportunity to change this up. G9 will be able to force back a few members. Derek has to flee for their lives. Is the kill coming through just before the health packet manages to do so? 100 energy that you just lost there and are probably decisions as Derek, especially when the fact that this payload is going to reach this next checkpoint and bring it into that furnace position.
Oh, but trying.
They're trying to get back into it. You're right. There's a little bit of a touch, but finally it will come to fruition. Now the last final tick just around these couple of corners is in sight.
I love these bloodthirsty supports from Electric and Mid Radius as well. They've been doing so well. They got that Zarya together in the end there. The Beam Wars and then the Lucio just helping out to catch up with her. It's impossible to get away from a Lucio and a Moira combo sometimes, and they do quite a bit of damage if they're working together.
Absolutely pressing forward. Needing to here though. And look at this flank coming out by Fishy. Coalescence to lead into us. You have the sound barrier ready. Staggering the ultimates out. Earth Shatter comes out. Combination. The quad Death Blossom by TJSB. What a great read of that play. And G9 taking.
Is everything going down there. Beautiful Shatter and the Death Blossom follow-up. They don't have a lot of members, though, so this last fight could be tricky. Well, he's getting the point here. But O'Malley is close to the Death Blossom. They might be able to drag out some more ultimates, and they do. 2-3 already out.
Yeah, beautiful wall to help prevent the Death Blossom from getting value, but there is just too much from everyone else from Mace to the face. They will reroute around the wall, getting the collapse all the way back to spawn. But this is the part that I'm concerned about. It is becoming too overzealous by Mace to the face and don't want to get taken down as they've done before.
Oh, they do. O'Malley falls. He probably will respawn just as they reach the last checkpoint if they rush a little bit. But they use so many ultimates to have to defend that last point. They'll still have their tank ults. They use Sound Barrier, Death Blossom, EMP. Everything was thrown out. And the Sound Barrier and the Blizzard and the Graph, it could be so big here on the attack, and they're already out on all the sides.
Oh, Blizzard comes out in the backside as well with a Sound Barrier to secure that everyone can be fortified enough to push through. Electric in the backside, perfectly timing that with the assistance of Charizard on the front. Still 2 ultimates in the Coalescence and also that Graviton available. But now that you've got the Coalescence back online here for Mace to the face, there's too many down. The wall is there, the boop to assist, and G9 actually completes this with a decent time bank. Well, time in just general, period, after how we've seen Mace to the face.
Yeah, it's been such a turnaround on this map of King's Row, and all we can hope for G9Lul at least is that they are just as good in their defense. Because if they are, this is going to be a very tall mountain to climb here for the side of Mace to the Facebook. And then we're actually getting this series underway, RichRad, because it's been fairly one-sided up until this round.
Absolutely. And I honestly think a lot of it is just, I mean, because again, we had the choice of Rialto for G9 the round prior. But with this one, there is a vast change in the type of gameplay, and I honestly like how much more aggression we're seeing from G9 because it's surprisingly yielding more resolve.
But then again, you know, in the last few maps, a lot of time they were playing versus a dive team, and dive is so much harder to approach when you're rush. You cannot just walk up to them and start smacking because they'll just run away, jump away, take the high ground. Like, you cannot actually fight them. You sort of have to hope that they don't kill you before you can get to them. And the fact that both these teams are playing Ryan Zarya right now is playing exactly into what they actually want to play on G9Lul. So even though they might win this map, they're still going to be in a lot of trouble if we go to a more dive-heavy map after.
And we'll see if this Mace to the face team is able to complete the round to bring extra innings. Got TJSB along with the rest of the team diving in, separating most of Mace to the face here, getting a nice pick off and a stagger on just to maybe reset Mace to the face and honestly get potentially another pick here as well. This is a solid defense by G9, and this May is really being very critical for their composition to shut.
So far, it's just going to be a chokehold, and of course, when you have that wall, you can just split one member off, and they can hardly get through. They switch over to the Pharah, though. There it is. There's finally the pick that you were already alluding to before round one started, and O'Malley is picking him.
And that's going to be the biggest thing now because you have Charizard and TJSB unable to really hard contest that and can mitigate this high ground position if a distance is kept. And these rockets are continuing to rain. The damage boost as well, assisting with now a Coalescence, at least giving an opportunity for G9 to reform, manage themselves to stabilize here. Back and forth trades. Electric does get hacked out in the backside, but nobody going to be able to get the kill. So both supports are still alive at the moment. And also comes through by Colvia, keeps Derek in the fight. EMP now repositioned in the back, getting 3. Ludus on the front does get 1 onto Charizard, so it prevents that crowd control. His team just means going to have to come in on the Widowmaker, and with that shield prepped and ready on the front side, it's going to block those sight lines. Mortal Wombat, though, forcing this in. That should most likely end this defense because, again, there's nobody really to handle it. TJSB comes in late, and O'Malley cleans house.
still a fairly long hold compared to what Mace to the Face was able to accomplish. Just a little over 2 minutes, under 2 minutes took him. That took him. And then by the time the payload's out here, 4.5 minutes on the clock, and after like 1 or 2 fights on B, we were talking about 4 minutes on the clock for G9Lul. So definitely at this rate, they're still looking to be a little bit better. But the defense on streets is really where it started going well for Mace to the Facebook.
We now have the Sombra play by Fishy in the back, looking to flank and get some intel. Go for G9 and going to aggress forward. This is what I was saying earlier. It seems that they just have a much more aggressive play style, knowing that they don't have to worry about the methodical play from the dive, and they're really exerting dominance on this maps of King's Row because you've got Mace to the Face unable to really compete against their rush comp.
Yeah, they can't, and the big reason for that is because they play that Sombra and that Pharah. You think, okay, wait, but why is that a problem? Well, because Sombra and Pharah, both of them, kind of take a little bit of time to come online. They don't really do the immediate damage with their team. They sort of have to set up for everything.
No.
And if you grow so aggressively like they're doing here, there's no time to set up. You'll just clean up heroes every day, RichRad.
Yeah, and the fact that you on the Widowmaker to respond to O'Malley, but when you're O'Malley playing that far forward and you're just sitting with your support attempting to try and get some picks when all of G9 is ready to just collapse onto you, that's not going to gain you any value.
Yeah, it's, now with the Infrasight coming out as well, definitely ready for that fire. The Blizzard will take short care of Ludus and Derek even, because they just split up from the rest of the team.
And again, this is where I feel like Mace to the Facebook is really starting to fall. Being discombobulated, they're allowing themselves to get staggered out, and not what you want to see at this present moment. There's 3 minutes still though to work with, ManofClass.
They have so much time, but they're just indeed not getting into the position to use their composition effectively. And at that point, you gotta wonder whether it might be time to swap, especially for a Pharah. Like a Pharah trying to get back into a fight is so much harder to play than a Pharah can just shoot angles in the defense.
Oh, EMP does land on the 4. There's the rocket barrage. The patient play, TGSB is there to respond, at least to shut down that bird in the sky, but there is just already too much damage done and reform from that. So this is going to be a consistent push with 2 minutes now still to go to reach the next checkpoint.
Beautiful combo. Nothing more to be said there. They can use that EMP combo with the DPS ult again. Fishy and O'Malley been known to do that before in this map, and Fishy even gets it further on by getting TJ out of there. That is going to be some free push forward from O'Malley because no Widow to worry about for a bit.
Yeah, it's really pushing away from the front line. G9 has to look at this play, and honestly, if Fishy can continue to draw attention from TGSB to play more defensively like this, almost taking that dive-centric type of composition with the Winston that you typically use and now having it be the Sombra, that's going to let just, again, right now, O'Malley to unload rockets into this Graviton. The sound barrier, though, beautifully timed by Electric to try and withstand it, but there is just still overwhelming force that thing from surviving through what Facebook is now starting to press with.
Yeah, Facebook is just on a roll right now. They haven't really stopped since A, and they don't seem to be wanting to stop anytime now. And especially with these quick EMP charges from Fishy, they don't really have to. They can just shut down anything that's ready on the defense. Not that it's much, but there's some.
I mean, this EMP generation is nutty. Charizard finding a couple quick icicles, though, to the dome of Fishy. So definitely putting that fish on ice. As you've got now opportunity to regroup, they're going to allow the... that I feel is a little overzealous. I would have liked to see that held for one exchange.
Yeah, maybe, but if you can get the res out. Nope, gets hacked, falls into the pit. Bye, Colvia.
Yeah, that's a reset here, and I feel that was just a little bit of a misplay on Mace to the Facebook side, and G9's going to take advantage of it.
I would definitely agree. I think it was mostly a mistiming. I think they wanted to all go, but the barrage came out a little bit earlier than maybe the rest of the team expected, so it felt like a bit of a discombobulated attempt of team play, of a combo, of a follow-up. Fishy will still have the EMP though, so if they can get that EMP off in time, there will still be a big opportunity to just take down the entirety, because look at them. They're all there. No one's hiding.
Yep, looking to play the corner, does get all 6. Grab comes out first though, so there isn't as many to collapse onto this, but Derek with the high energy charge, along with O'Malley, taking a hard swap again, showing their wheelhouse onto this McCree, getting a lot of hit scan value to take this press forward, and looks to finish this round, hitting that golden box of completion.
Yeah, this is going to be a very hard one to still hold. You have a Blizzard and a Shatter, though. Those are ultimates that can just stop a push right in their tracks. But that's already the shots from Electric. The flashbang towards T just doesn't hit, but it does hit a few shots.
Yeah, it doesn't get a takedown. Blizzard now. Ludus trying to charge out of it, but still hits the outskirts of the edge. Earthshatter to follow up as well. G9 in a good position to shut this down, and they're actually in a very positive situation to prevent Mace to the face from completing this with a quick 3-0.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, they will have they'll have an EMP. They'll have a coalescence close to a sound barrier. And while there's plenty of ultimates aligned for the attack here, they need to complete it before overtime hits. Otherwise, they don't even get another attack. And this map can be a draw at best for them.
Absolutely, and there's a beautiful EMP though to come out. TJSB does go down in the use. Is there enough to follow up? High Noon gonna come out by O'Malley, but no, it only hits one because you've got Mortal Wombat to contest. 20 seconds to go. G9 feeling confident and not out of this fight yet. They finally have hit their stride. 10 seconds to go. Somebody has to compete on the point. The Earthshatter though has been forced out by Ludus and nobody gets any value. This now is just a rush to touch the point.
They can't even touch. They did touch with Sombra. The EMP is quite big after the sound barrier hit, so they do deny that one.
Oh, needs to stick onto it. The grab comes through, and the momentum shifts. Mace to the Facebook now on the front side, having a decent energy charge. The Coalescence now has been committed, but there are ultimates available. Wombat has to get back into this, keeping the Earthshatter to try and shut it down as William is staggered out in the backside. Very, very low. Just moments away. Is anyone going to touch? Comes in with .08. Fishing gets the Shatter won't be there. William down as well. Derek gets the follow through with Ludus, and that's a round completed by the skin of their teeth.
And now, of course, Mason Facebook doesn't get another attempt, but there is a very real possibility we can still get a draw.
Yep.
Getting a draw or the first map win for G9Lul. The last time they attacked, they did get it with a very quick time, so this is not at all something they haven't done before. But no matter what happens, we'll get another map after this, RichRad, and that's exciting.
It is. It's going to keep the momentum here for G. Again, first to 3 for those that may be tuning in a little late as we enter in onto this King's Row map for the swap of sides. And Mace to the face, again, they have a tall order, but at the same time, it's only 1 minute and 9 seconds. So this critical play by G9 to take at least this first initial tick on the objective point.
We'll now come out with a very similar composition as before, and that Sombra was working out very well for them this time around. Like last time, we saw it on Rialto, the EMPs didn't find that much value, but this time around, the coordination was much more there. And a lot of that still has to do with the fact that this map feels more enclosed. We saw it with the way they dealt with that High Noon coming out. We saw it with the way that the EMPs, the Blizzards, the Gravitons, the Shatters. It all plays into the follow-up from the map geometry itself. There was not something they could do on Rialto, which they played a very similar composition. And yes, they played against Dive then, but they're still able to get more value out of plays because everything is more closer together.
Well, here comes that rush once again. Taking the fight, extremely fast-paced. Charizard with the assistance of the pin from Wombat allows this to be pushed. Mace to the face cannot even take a second to breathe right now. And the numbers are just steadily going in the favor of G9. That's a map win, and it will be now an opportunity for G9 to take this to a potential reverse sweep.
Yeah, we gotta say, well, this is a wrap-up, but it's not. It's a 2-1. G9Lul going for the reverse sweep indeed, but I'm still worried for them because everything they're good at sort of comes together on this map of King's Row. But we're gonna go to an assault map next, where that can still happen, but all the assault maps currently that are good in the game play so much towards dive as well, which they haven't really been able to deal with so far on the two maps before King's Row. So still a boon for Mace to the Facebook no matter what map they go to, but I will say that I'm very much in favor of thinking that G9Lul can potentially bring this back.
I mean, it is possible. These are two teams that have before multiple times. So brief break before allowing the map to be selected and to see if G on and have a nice morale boost after taking this King's Row map. So don't go anywhere. Hello and buddy, as we are here for the continuation of the CEA Overwatch matchup between Mace to the Facebook and G9Lul. We saw on Kings Row a revitalized play from G9 after a more dominant fashion from Mace to the Facebook. And now we're going into Volskaya Industries. I am RichRad here with ManofClass. ManofClass! We're going into Volskaya. We're going into Assault, the type that I think we all kind of loathe. But what do you think is going to happen here from these teams?
I mean, of all the maps that you could play in Assaults, I will definitely say that it's probably one of my favorite. You know,
Agreed.
Volskaya Industries, it kind of feels like, I mean, it is a 2CP map, but it doesn't always feel like it, especially that first point has so much potential to kind of feel like almost like a hybrid map. I really sometimes feel like that door's just kind of open and there's like a bot coming out and then you have to like escort the bot to the other side of the map. Like that's almost what Volskaya feels like. Unfortunately, it's not the case, but maybe someday. Maybe we're gonna get push. You know, Overwatch 2. Gonna get push, gonna get the escort a bot to the end of the map. So it'll still happen, just not at Volskaya. Now, G9Lul has been doing really well when they get this brawl matchup. That's what we saw on Kings Row. That's what they were doing really well with. They had to get their extra innings, but they didn't have anything but a draw to face them. So they got out on the win there. But now that we go to Volskaya, we could still see a brawl matchup. But I have a feeling Mace to the Facebook is going to go back to the composition that won them Rialto so handedly, which was dive with an Ashe on the high ground. Maybe even a Widowmaker as well. Maybe double sniper. Maybe to go with a Reaper, with a Sombra. That's all up in the air. Maybe even a Pharah. But that Ashe definitely with a dive on the defense seems a very likely possibility. But of course, we don't have to worry about that just yet because they're going to have to attack first. It's going to be G9Lul on the defense.
I mean, there's so much versatility from O'Malley along with those from Mace to the Face. Not to say that G9 doesn't have versatility in their wheelhouse, but I feel that there's a little bit more, I guess, opportunity for Mace to the Face to take this one because of that ability to dynamically adjust throughout these matches, which we've seen so far. G9, though, here, at least from the defensive side, as we do get a look at their composition, it's going to be T-Just-B on the Ashe, along with the Reaper. So there's still going to be a Reaper play throughout this. And again, ever since that adjustment with the patch came out with the shotgun, also the Reaper change of how wide the spread is being reduced, there's a lot of utility and worth bringing this character in matches. And, you know, I'm a little surprised at the Mercy, but at the same time, because the Ashe, you're going to basically boosted Dynamite all the time.
That's just what it's about, right? And even though Ashe got nerfed a little bit, it's still a very powerful character, powerful abilities. You can still one-shot squishies from, you know, they're close enough. So we'll see if that comes into play at all. They'll at least be matched up, but it's going to be the dive on attack already with Fishy on the Sombra. Maybe not what we were expecting on the attack, but we're going to still see the matchup just earlier.
Interesting. I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. Fishy going for the wide contention in the back, does get a hack, just causing a little bit of harassment at the moment, opening up the chance for the dive. Now, the biggest thing here is Mace to the Face is going to need to be very, very careful on this. Minutes now, already a minute down, and some really nice defensive plays by G9 here and holding their own with that. Came through quite well, but still held that small room very effectively.
Yeah, and right now, just the attack has been stifled. O'Malley did get res, so there will be quick re-engage, but already a minute down and nothing really gained. Only really one that gained anything is Fishy with their EMP charge, but even that's negligible almost.
Absolutely. I mean, with this consistent Tesla damage, though, coming through, attempting to... actually being very challenging for Mace to the Face to get any... Here, Electric does have at least that coalescence to go into this. If we've got Colvia also closely by from Mace to the Face to get that extra damage boost or AoE healing necessary. Derek, though, getting a decent flank, harassing these supports. The micro rockets come through and has to evade and dodge out of it. And also the fact that O'Malley's gotten an early pickup as well. 2 down already for G9. Have a window of opportunity to push in onto this point to try and claim this first to transition to the second. And the few stragglers, Wombat is going to for sure be taken down, especially when you that is called the EMP, and this will be a first point take by Mace to the Face.
I do kind of have to criticize that EMP usage there, though, because they didn't really need it. They were going to win that fight regardless, and now you won't have it for B. I mean, you have plenty of other ultimates, don't get me wrong, but that EMP just usually is that nail in the coffin that can just get that snowball rolling with almost 100% certainty. Now they have to fight into a Bob, a Shatter, a Graviton, almost a Valkyrie, and they don't have anything to shut it down with, aside from maybe a Sleep Dart.
It was a little bit. Oh, I was gonna say almost getting picked off here. Fishy barely just translocating out before that last hammer swing from Wombat. Ludus also very low. Forces out the Primal Rage before even going into the engagement and just wants to take this quickly. Mace to the face. You know, playing very, very aggro like we saw in G9 the round before, and it's yielding value. The grab comes out to try and mitigate from William on the defensive side from G9, but it's not going to get anything because there is just so many pressed up in the front side harassing the remaining members of G9, and the swaps come out to try and keep this going. William on the Wrecking Ball, going to spin to win into the center. Even T just be swapping onto the Bastion, and surprisingly, the few coming back into this, especially on the Wrecking Ball to reform with Mortal on the front, actually Mace to the face gets shut down and cannot take this point.
No, they cannot. And wouldn't it have been nice if you had an EMP there, RichRad? Wouldn't that have been a treat? Yeah. Look,
I mean, it would have been.
It would have been, but I mean, hey, they take down Electric early here. This could be a very quick engage. Electric will be back in time, of course, before this attack comes in, but it's still a nice pickup to get, so you have a little more free entry, because defense has to play a bit safer now that they don't have a Moira to heal them up.
Well, and the other thing, too, is Fishy, yes, we understand that it was, you know, used early, but look at how quickly it was generated. Within one good fight from the pick now has it for this one. Yes, it's a little off-kilter versus what the ultimates were used, but the fact that it's still back online and ready to go, very critical. But with William on this Roadhog working in tandem with Wombat, that's a very interesting dynamic. And this Hog Ragdoll, there's just more so, if anything, sustainability from G9 with this composition to just outlast Mace.
Yeah, and if you have a dive composition, they have some burst here and there, but if you can survive that initial push, it's usually quite easy to sustain against it as a Roadhog. As long as you're not being focused by 6 heroes, it's probably fine. So exactly, the hero itself is almost a counter existing against dive on 2CP.
Now Fishy in the back goes for the EMP, does manage to get 3 on obliterated along with Wombat as well. William manages to survive, but with barely any health, it has to take the breather, nearing that whole hog. Nice hook. Dwindling the health value of the front line. That is for sure a great cleanup with a whole hog tucking multiple into the corner. And, you know, surprisingly, T just be holding their own on this Ashe play, but O'Malley can respond back. It is just the coin between these two of getting value. And now you've got Mace to the face back online. They're here on this point, continuing to maintain this position. The respawned G9, where William once again forced back on just to really harass and keep all of Facebook off this point. Bob going to be tossed that as well by TGSB before being brought down. At the Eric in the back consistently keeping an eye out. But the res actually comes out here to give those, again, number reinforcement, and Bob gets the kill onto that backline support play. I mean, this is just a drawn-out fight as we've seen time and time again, and Ludus actually gets booped to the side, ManofClass.
Oh, and how well they were doing on point A with only 1 minute 25 on the clock. You gotta wonder, where is this going for Mace to the Facebook? They haven't even gotten a tick yet. They will have quite a few ultimates coming into this next one, especially the EMP and Bob are going to be a great combo. Maybe even an EMP self-destruct, just open it up. But so far, even with all the advantage, they haven't been able to come out on top. So what they really need to do here is find the right heroes to pick off first. Who do you target to A, not die, and to B, not do anything? I see someone lining up for a flank shatter, though. Oh, no, never mind. They got spotted out.
Yeah.
They don't want to take the risk.
Spotted
Really
out,
beautiful.
acknowledging, tossing up the shield. I gotta bounce, friends. I ain't gonna stick up front here. Oh man, but that is a great rotation by William, finding the grapple hook and the pick onto O'Malley. Arez is gonna be forced out onto Charizard as well to secure that the numbers are high here for G9. Bionade does at least land onto William. If there is a follow-up onto that, that's gonna be actually an opportunity to keep pushing forward, because now Bob, along with Fishy, are doing the work front to try and dwindle these numbers. G9 both supports have a lot running on their shoulder. Come back into this fight. One tick about to be obtained, but this is G9 can allow this tick to go so they can get him back onto this point. But if William goes down early in this, needs to almost gets the 2 ticks so far. There it is. Now it's just basically G9 having to rush on the point. And there was a little bit of a miscommunication there, I believe, getting back onto this from G9, and Mace in the face is going to be able to take this. The EMP to he will knock all remaining members. The Wrecking Ball cannot touch the point in time. comes out with no time on the bank, but a nonetheless.
It's the second one in a row that they're able to just not complete in overtime. Complete, but just in overtime. And that's... I mean, it's good that they still managed to do it, but on the other hand, you kind of would have hoped that they wouldn't... Like, that wouldn't have been an issue in the first place. They looked so good. They got that first point with quite a bit of time left. And now they can maybe... I mean, they have to basically go for a full hold or for a hold on second. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to go in extra innings, most likely.
And it's tall order. Tall order, to say the least. And if G9 takes the same type of aggression as we've seen in Kings Row, even though there is a compositional difference with Derek and Ludus specifically on this dive comp, I'm curious how G9 is going to be able to press forward with that type of, tank lineup that we're probably going to see. It's really just waiting on what William's going to pick up. But again, we won't hold our breath on that one since we do at least have confirmation from the defensive side. Fishy's at Tracer this time around, which we saw a little bit just at the very start with the control map.
Yeah, and now they're gonna play it with the dive composition in general, but indeed on that defense. It's interesting that Fishy doesn't go for the Sombra here. I would have kind of expected that because the EMP definitely helped them out. And the hack is always a valuable resource, but Fishy on the Tracer has been doing so much work. I actually was O'Malley on Control, if I'm not mistaken. So Fishy now is the new face on that hero.
Very true. It's going to be a little bit of a dynamic change here. Again, demonstrating the wheelhouse does have here in their composition. G9, though, getting a nice movement here, utilizing off a lot of the damage from that high ground where you could see a lot of the Winston and Diva play in addition to Ashe, but Ashe's position now is going to be very critical, wanting to play that counter side, get some damage, but is actually on the low ground, is going to be exploited. That is a big misplay, unfortunately, and has to now go onto the high ground, barely surviving. But the fact that you've got William on this Diva to dislodge any high ground positions is allowing G9 to actually flourish on this with this composition, not managing to lose anyone just yet, and the Maywall's mitigating any sort of damage that could be coming through. G9 has truly turned this around.
Yeah, we really gotta wonder what happened. What did they have for a mid-map snack almost? Because I gotta start taking that. Gotta start getting that into my diet, RichRad. It's
Is it the Wheaties?
been good.
Is it the?
I don't know.
I mean, my goodness.
Look, I know there's a lot of food you guys have in the US that I can't get my hands on, so I hope it's none of that. But we'll
That's
ask him
true.
after the
I
match.
didn't think about that. That's me literally throwing out a rant. Yeah, because I didn't even think about that. Well, it's okay. Whatever food that you have that is very, very powerful in your media is probably the one that it's relatable to Wheaties. But
Probably.
in main media, it's going to be main media of how well G being able to just constantly dominate on this next point. Read all about it right now with Charizard looking for that crowd control in the back on the Tracer, who is not yet being able to find any value, just locking down multiple members here. Bob comes out on the point by O'Malley, needing some to try and help this team of Mace to the Facebook. And hopefully with this respawn advantage, it can shut down G9's attempt, but that's a very difficult task ahead of them.
Yeah, that May. I heard the blizzard, but it didn't get come out. It got canceled because Derek canceled it out, and this hold will actually happen now. It's a similar situation as we saw before, coming out from face to the Facebook, and now G9Lul. They didn't get that snowball. They will still have ultimates in the bank, but they didn't get that snowball, and that can sometimes be all you need to never complete that point in the first place.
I mean, if the blizzard came out, let's be honest, that probably would have. There was a quick enough response shutting down the May. That's going to allow this to draw out, and G9 they at least got a tick, so they've gotten something out of this, but they've got almost 5 ultimates coming up here at that 50, both the Moira and the Diva as well. Thumb comes out in the backside, doesn't manage to get anything, kind of forfeited away, and I'm really curious to see how this rotation is going to work for the ManofClass.
His rotation coming out pretty slowly but surely, and the Shatter is ready. Got to be ready for Mortal Wombat to throw that on the ground. The charge misses though on the Nano Winston.
Yeah, the glancing shoulder doesn't manage to get the pin, but the Earth Shatter for sure will connect. The Nano Boost attempting to make sure that Ludus can generate it as possible, but can't manage to grasp it. O'Malley on the backside for Mace to the Facebook will reposition in this back line right now, despite G9 being on the point, and somebody's got to get there quick to touch it, because this is almost another tick here for G9. They have to get closer and closer to finishing this map with a decent time bank, but Mace the Facebook is still holding on strong to prevent it.
Yeah, they were definitely going to be fine in that one. They got the right ultimates at the right time. That Bob especially was very nice, and O'Malley just popping off in that fight, not being countered whatsoever. We've seen this before on Rialto, where O'Malley just was left to their own devices on that Ashe. And here again, it was only the diva of Matt William they sent after it, and they just couldn't get it because a Mercy pocketing an Ashe, you need to get that Mercy first. Otherwise, as a diva, you'll never be able to take her down.
No, absolutely not. That's a great Icicle coming out on top, forcing out the res already from Mace of the Facebook. So if there are some picks that come through, TJSB leads in very swiftly with the Reaper. Infield does zone off part of the position, but honestly, it's already been cleared out with that Reinhardt shield at the back line. The harass from the Tracer to really draw too much attention away. It is definitely nuisance right now, but it is not any sort of linchpin change that's going to allow this team to continue to flourish. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. O'Malley at the back once again looking for a reposition to try and contest with multiple numbers from G9 onto the point. And honestly, you've got G9 just eradicating everybody off that is attempting to touch it. Time, but here's that Maywall once again from Charizard. The sound barrier as well. The Primal is not going to yield any sort of value and in proximity to being obtained, but again, the respawns are coming through because G9 cannot find the solid executions on these remaining stragglers.
Almost a second tick pick up, but not quite. There it is. The whole hog to try and push people off the point, but it's not going to be the H9. It's going to be the G9Lul that gets that point completion. 1 minute 45 on the clock. No attempt here for Mace to the face. I was going to say face to the book Mace, but you know, let's not go there. No, I was going to make it even weirder on purpose, but I'll refrain from it. They chose the name for a reason. Let's just call it out correctly, right?
Okay,
so
right?
we will now get to extra innings. It's basically a repeat of King's Row. There's a slight bit more time on the bank here for G9Lul. Last time around, just as on King's Row, they just walked over whatever Mace to the Face was doing, and now we can see whether this is just a stroke of luck or whether Mace to the Face can actually put up a good defense this time around and prevent them from taking a tick and just putting it to a draw.
Yeah, I mean, repeat with what we've seen so far, if G9 plays as dominantly as they have before, I mean, they did a really great job. I like this adaptation. The fact that you've got Mod William on this diva to dislodge anyone from the high ground, specifically if it was the Ashe, that would be very helpful. But O'Malley is now taking this chance on going onto the Pharah, a confident pick. What we saw open up from the start of this match, of this best first to three. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of focus with William trying to take down O'Malley, and I'm hoping that there might be enough, at least from the defensive side, to reach the draw that Colvia can give the boost to make O'Malley survive.
Yeah. Now, of course, with this adaptation, going over to the Reaper and the May again, that's what we've seen them work with before with a rush, but it's not as easy as it is in King's Row. There's more places to run away to.
Nice placement though with the wall once again. The tactic before has not been completely shut down. Mace to the Face saw it once already and have not responded too kindly to it a second time around, but again, a little bit of a further back play, and again, with O'Malley on the far, looking to rain some rockets into this small room, it's not something to be so surprised of. See this a second time from G9. Got that Tracer play in the back, Fishy. You have to force out the crowd freeze, which you get rid of, especially if you start leading in onto this point. It needs to come swiftly here. 55 seconds to go. A pick has to come out, but TJSB Rocket Barrage already generated, mind. Started to whittle down the health values, and the fact that there's the cleanup now this down, and G9 is going to be in a position to have one last attempt to try and actually bring this to a now scoring.
Yeah, and honestly, I've been very impressed with Mortal Wombat's Reinhardt charges, but they are sometimes a bit hit or miss. We saw a few on Rialto that were a bit off. This one as well, he charges into the enemy team, hits nothing, just gets killed by the barrage in the back. And now O'Malley, free reign in the sky. There's nothing they could do against it. Mutt William back on the Roadhog to try and do anything against it, but that's just not going to be enough, I feel.
Oh my goodness, this is desperate plays, and now you've got this combination of the Winston Roadhog that I'm just, you know, it's a do or die situation. Pulse Bomb comes out, does it stick, misses the mark, so thankfully the supports are still alive in this. You've got the Coalescence going to be able to come through. This is very winnable, but again, You just have to see if the self-destruct can be mitigated. No kills coming out. Fishy, though, returns a hook, just missing the Skyward Valk play. And you have now a Blizzard locking down multiple members. Here comes the first tick. The stragglers are being brought down. Mace to the Facebook is being brought to a 5th map, making it a 2-2. The point is so close, and that's going to be it. G9 takes Volskaya Industries, and we find ourselves now in a 2-2 situation, entering back into a map of control.
And after map 1, after map 2, we're finally starting to see where the gaps, where the problems are with the side of Face to the Facebook. They're a very good team when they can make the fights last longer, when they can keep cutting around their enemy. But as soon as they're being pressured to just straight away fight up, 6v6, just go, they're never really there with 6v6. They don't often, even when we were on King's Row, they were never really ready for those quick engages. And G9Lul has just expertly identified it. Last time around, of course, they got on the 4th place of Mace to the Facebook, G9Lul on the 3rd, and it's almost looking like it's heading that same way now, where we thought it was going to be a quick 3-0 maybe after those first 2 maps, but that's being turned around at a massive fashion.
Yes, 100%. I mean, it's just this is now again. If we take history from the previous control, yes, we could say that Mace of the Face has been in a very dominant position to take that very easily, but to be fair, G9 has really acclimated through the course of these maps, even though they've still been pretty close. We're going to go into, it looks like Ilios, though. So Ilios has also a lot of variation when it comes to map. And again, with Ilios, as we've said, with most control points, the only one that's a little bit different is Oasis. Oasis always has that, really percentage of whoever takes the first point typically claims the win here. So going into this on Ilios, I'm really interested to see what kind of first map is going to show up, because I think that's going to really decide who starts to get that early advantage.
Yeah, very much so. And if I was to pick any team to really get an advantage out of, for instance, I think feels to like to play more into Mace of the Facebook style. I mean, they like to play Pharah. They can play a little bit of Lucio there. I mean, that would feel like more of a divey Pharah map that they could go to. Same kind of goes for Lighthouse. You can play it there. But when we go to Ruins, we have those longer range approaches where you kind of either need to really stick to that Widowmaker or Ashe, or you just go hard in with those Reinhardt Zarya compositions, then that feels more of a G9 Lul map. So, like you said, really is going to depend on where they go first and where they're going to end up next.
And it looks like they I think I definitely say that O'Malley has been shut down a lot more, and I would like to say that G9 has been doing a very good job of responding to it. Combination of Mod William taking up that diva role, which has been very, very critical to their composition, and again, the diva Reinhardt, not something we see as often, but it's something that can work as long as you can coordinate the ground, like the ground assault, which has been done very well with the Reinhardt. And it allows Diva to just utilize the kit that she has to dislodge anyone from the high ground and regroup when necessary. Even with the few coach guns to reposition back up on the high ground, there's always been constant presence of mind from William to know when to go back up when necessary to keep the fight on the main floor and not allow any advantages to come from Mace to the Facebook.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough one to still come back into it. Of course, they did win the first control map, but after that escort map of Rialto, they've just been ruffle stomped a fair few times. So now they need to find their groove again. They got to get it back, and Ilios could be the map to do it on. It's definitely a very entertaining one always. It's also always a bit one that falls out of the normal rotations of things. And talking about adaptation, they are the team that has adapted a bit more in terms of they've played more different styles of composition. When we talk about adaptation in terms of gameplay, though, in terms of how do we approach this other team, that's where G9Lul has been shining. So you don't always need to play 3 different types of compositions in order to win. Sometimes you just need to find the right piece to focus on in the other teams.
I mean, if you do something proficient enough and you know how to handle the different types of adjustments from your opponent, even with the composition, the fact is still all of the mechanical dynamics of it. And G9 is very, very aware of that. Again, struggling earlier in these first couple of maps, but now as we enter into Ilios, they've gotten the groove, they've found some momentum, they've been able to build themselves up, especially bringing it to a 5th map with that match point for one of these teams will be on well, the pit of center of this map, and you know, to the face, I feel like you said does have the advantage. I would agree with you entirely. Come from this site, so G9 order ahead of them to try and make sure that they can sustain work through this to take it first.
Yeah, it is going to be one of those. Honestly, we're looking into a match that has no ending, but it will have an ending after this map. O'Malley, indeed, on that fire currently in spawn. I don't feel like that's going to change. Going to get a short pause before we go actually into the map. I don't think that's going to be a long one.
Looks like there is a player disconnecting. Yeah.
Yeah. That can usually take a little bit, but we just go to a very short break in order to bring the player back in, and then we get you right into the action of Ilio as well.
Hello and welcome back, friends. We're here. I told you it was a short break. Could have been longer, but we're glad it wasn't. As we get this underway onto well, and we're entering in now to see what these compositions are going to be coming out the doorway. And G9 is actually attempting to pull out a dive composition of their own.
Yeah, I haven't seen them much before, but with Mod William on the Diva, I am all for it. Derek this time on the Roadhog, though, going for the boop and hook, and they already hook in that Winston. Yeah,
that is a ton of damage coming out, honestly. You know, Derek has to be very careful from this Mace to the Facebook position. Gets a hook in the back. Beautiful pickup to shut down and bring G9 to a halt in their press forward. Clean up. O'Malley's just hunting. I'm just hunting for Lucio's. I'm just hunting for bladed skaters and gets the kill.
Get those rascals out of my yard is what they're saying. Well needs to be purified, and currently they're doing a good job of it. O'Malley already up to that barrage, of course. Fishy close to as the pole spawn basically ready, and nothing of any interest charge on the other side. So first fight, dominance showing in the ult charge as we expect on Control.
Absolutely, and you've already got pulse bomb actually going to be thrown out very early. Does get a pick. There is a hack though onto O'Malley. But the challenge is that when you get those hacks, that is very great, but you need something to follow up onto it, whether it is the Sombra or it is at least a coordinated collapse. O'Malley just comes right back into the fight, had the rocket barrage, still able to get one, and Mace the Facebook still leading very confidently into this defensive hold, and playing, again, quite aggressively and networking through these buildings to find valuable picks.
We'll now see if there's anything that G9Lul can really do. I mean, of course, we expected this map to be a bit more dominant towards the Mace to the Face side, but this is looking like the old Mace to the Face matchup that we saw in their first two maps. This is not anything that's coming back in here for G9Lul right now.
And okay.
I think that's just for zoning. They want to find the Sombra, I guess.
Yeah, literally. To say whether it's a fat finger or it's for zoning purposes, it's okay. We got that coming out here. Mace to the Facebook feeling really just over the 60% plus and climbing. As Luke outside here looking for a chance to dive back in with a well-coordinated play. And honestly, you know, Mace to the Facebook just plays know it so well with their composition and how to respond. G9 really, really has to try and at this point find the weaknesses with these last 20% before going into this next.
Yeah, 100% so, and now they still have a barrage, a pulse bomb again, last fight territory. The EMP of Tejas has to charge and actually get value, otherwise this looks like a grim perspective, and there the barrage, it gets two!
And there's a Depth Blossom. Dream in the back, not able to gain anything. Whole Hog is available by William. But there's actually, wow, okay, Tejas B in the backside, gets an EMP. William finds the double on the Whole Hog, goes for the triple in the backside with a Bionade looking to slow it. Oh my. Can you not way cool? Like, how crazy are you to just withstand that for as long as you did? Numbers advantage, though, in the long haul, ending up going to G9. A long-awaited attempt to get back onto this point and gain some percentage. Finally, G9 is able to do so and get some on the board.
Yeah, this is looking like a potential comeback, but they need a whole lot to do that one. A Whole Hog, indeed, and also the EMP was very instrumental towards that. All they have left is a sound barrier. And on the other side, it's not like they have a ton to work with, but that Whole Hog nano boost and a Valkyrie can provide so much sustain and CC and damage.
Absolutely, Fishy. Now on the high ground, it will be the Mace to the Facebook up front, you already have Derek managing to get that pickup here onto Electric, which is going to really be a challenge for G9 to be able to persevere through. You've got the Coalescence at least trying to buy some time before the engagement, continues to go in favor of Mace to the Face. You've got Colvia with that reposition as well to assist, but there's a boop, at least coming out onto Fishy, getting ready to that harass in the back line, and G9 actually could come back from this despite that early pick advantage that Mace to the Face had.
I have a button on my desk. Oh, see? Well, they're going to try and back it back. They're just going to finish this up. This is not going to be a comeback. Don't get me wrong. I have a button on my desk. It's called the go button. And sometimes you see a pick happen, and then I just press it. Just for the teams, I think like this is where you go. And when Electric goes down, when they have the sound barrier up, it's the only ultimate that G9Lul has. That's when you just press the go button. And they didn't. They played so slow to try and get in there. And that's such a shame, because they could have already won the map by now.
Yeah, they really could have. Again, it's getting a little bit... getting a little too confident here, assuming that you have this win, but you do have now, again, G9 taking this early pick, but O'Malley has an even exchange. It's support for a tank, but there is now Electric going down with the pulse bomb in the backside. I mean, again, we feel like we're back on the first control where scrappiness was the key word in describing their type of play. Mace to the Face manages to finally get a pickup here and switch it back over. 99 into the overtime. The Diva play is there with a sound barrier from Electric. Not letting this go just yet, but ultimately, Mace to the Face is going to take this.
A little while before that sound barrier came out, Electric twice picked off in a fight before that even could get a chance. And that is also a bit on Electric. If you're in that situation, you need to play in a position where you cannot get picked off early. You might even just hide. That's also fine. Then maybe your team just doesn't have a speed boost for, or like area heal for a little bit. You still have mid Radius. They'll be fine with that Moira. There's no issue for them there. So Electric dying twice with that sound barrier up was probably what eventually wins Mace to the Face in that fight. But this was the point where we were talking about, if they get this, G9Lul is still within a good chance, because it's not as easy to play the diver with all this openness, and you have to jump into that pit to get that point. So Mortal Wombat and Mott William will have a field day to get up a Charizard and Teachus if they play this dive, and that's what they do. The only thing they have to worry about is some sightlines from Fishy.
And you can see those sightlines looking for the backline supports, who are very hesitant to peek out into the open. Great usage of the Reinhardt shield and acknowledging where Fishy is to relocate. Cutting off a little bit of the sightlines now, since they are not on that rune position and on the upper high ground, but you've got Fishy being boosted for damage. Again, really just breaking down the shields, leaving an opportunity open. Ludus has to bail, though, on the front side. The Winston gets very heavily oppressed. A nice hack as well from TJSB to shut down O'Malley from being any just ability to get out of that fight. And G9 is playing this very well. You're very correct about, the fact that Runes is a more favorable map for G9.
Yeah, they will indeed win that first fight. Charizard goes down late, though, so a quick re-engage without playing against a Reaper is something that's very favorable for Mace to the Face. They're going to do exactly that. Have the Ana as well ready. No anti-nade, just a nade for their own team.
Yeah, now you're getting a little bit of a unfortunate position. You've got the free-firing Fishy on the high ground, since there is nobody able to focus it because so many members of Mace to the Face are on the point. Derek manages to at least get the whole hog available and active, but it will be quickly responded to by the Coalescence to get some long-range damage from the ultimate. So, I mean, honestly, I'm surprised that, how well G9 is handling this.
Yeah, they're doing a very good job of it, but of course we were sort of expecting it. Now, coming in with their, oh, wow. Not even close to an EMP, but this is Fishy finally starting to hit the shots. That's what you want from the Widowmaker. It's her playground. She finds the value, and this will be the flip coming out here for Mace to the Face. Now, can they hold with this dive composition? It's still a good position indeed for G9Lul to be in, because, 61%. But I don't know. It's still possible. The pool is back good, especially if the pulse bomb finds early value. Then you just buy so much more time.
Umbra coming in from the back line, looking for the EMP. Will there be any value with it, though? Out in the open, a lot of Mace to the Face. It only does get 2, but it is still the tank, so you're not going to get that mitigation or so that... Oh, goodness. Dad Blossom from Charizard comes in and really secures at least both supports are gone, but there is still a significant hold here with the Tracer play and some Widowmaker sightlines. The tanks, even though they are low, the fact that you've got the sustainability from the Roadhog and the Winston managing to stick into that bubble actually allows Mace to the Face to hold on to this despite the supports are gone.
Such a good play.
No one can hide from
Now,
my
Fitch, you can see
sight.
exactly where they're going to come from. More time buying, more deterrence.
And
Oh,
you got that
I'm liking
aggression.
this. I'm liking this.
And you got the aggression now by Derek pressing forward, 57.9% continuing to climb. O'Malley looking for a pulse bomb here to try and get that damage onto the backside. Where the Reinhardt is looking to just evade. Electric having the sound barrier, though, is going to be very key to lead into this. G9 has to find value with the pulse bomb. Once again, comes out a little bit of an overdash of a toss, but, you know, it's still harassing and keeping them away. 25 seconds still remaining, and G9's got to get on this point.
Yeah, they really have to touch. It's not that close, but they haven't even losing into last fight territory, and they get Derek early. What a play. That's great to get that rush.
Yes, indeed. The sleep, though, comes through. Great job by Way Cool to shut down, which was just activated towards the end of it. A Res is going to come out. Well, you know, G9 is not out of the thick of this yet. The whole hog is going to be active from Derek's side of things, from Mace to the Facebook, but again, shut down. Very great responsiveness from both sides to prevent that whole hog from getting... Comes out, numbers advantage back in favor of Mace to the face, and this is an opportunity now to close it out. It's a 3-2 in favor of Mace to the Facebook. It is only one sole remaining member. The staggers are there. The Ryan jumps to the point with a saving. There is nobody close enough to take any advantage of it. That will be Mace to the Facebook claiming the win over G9 in this first to 3.
What a match. I think that's probably the closest one we've had so far. 3-2 for Mace to the Facebook, but did they have to work for it? That was not at all an easy match, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna tell us that same thing. Look at that play of the game from Derek here in the end. It's pushing everybody off the point with that whole hog. That's what you like to see. That's why Roadhog is such a great hero sometimes. But indeed, 3-2 end, and G9Lul's got to feel a little bit salty about that one in the end as well, because they did so well up until that point.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, again, you can't fault them for trying, putting forth the strengths that they had to bring them to a 5th map in general. So, I mean, major and, you know, with that being said, Mace of the Facebook is going to claim the victory in this 3rd week, and we are going to have the chance to talk to the captain. I go to a brief break to get them into this discussion to see how they're feeling after that quite in 5-map series, to see how they're... Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome, friends. We come back to you with a pair of interviewers. Again, we do have one from both sides of the teams that we just saw battle it out tooth and nail to the winning point. I am RichRad here with ManofClass, but also joining us is Mod William from the Google side of things from G9, and we've also got Colvia from Facebook, Mace to the Facebook. And how are you both feeling? I mean, we'll kind of just leave that open. We'll start with Mod William. I mean, I know you guys came out on top, or correction, I know that you are unfortunately unable to come out on top. Mace to the Facebook just coming out, and I know there's been some rivalry between you. So how was this match entirely just going into it? I mean, you have to say quite a battle.
Yeah, so last season, Mace to the Facebook in the 3rd place match. So we knew that we could beat them, but I am friends, so I know that Mace to the Facebook has been practicing really hard. They have some really good. We knew it was winnable, but it wouldn't be like a sure thing for us. And we a little secret. Colvia streams all of her script that a little bit. We had a little confidence, but just at the end of the day, like Mace of the Facebook is really good mechanically.
You know, and I'll extend that further because again, I also have O'Malley in here as well from Facebook, so it is both Colvia and O'Malley. You two had a really great dynamic as the pharmacy composition that we saw came through. How is it that you felt going into this and trying to compete against Mod Williams and the rest of the Google team?
Um, Definitely, yeah. I so O'Malley and I are on two teams together.
Mhm.
And Will and I are actually former teammates as well. Uh,
Oh.
so I I know our strats are somewhat publicly available because I stream all of my scrims and games. But I also know a little bit of Will's playstyle, and we have played Google before, so we had some old information about how they played. I think the May and the Reaper was not a total surprise, but at
Mhm.
the same time, our team has changed up its roster a lot. Last season, we could only play Reinhardt because we essentially had a Rein one trick as our main tank player, and now now we're a very dive heavy team. But O'Malley and I have always, uh, or we have a lot of experience at this point together of doing the
Mhm.
whole like DPS support duo of like maybe me on Lucio, but frequently me on Mercy, just pocketing. So we definitely have a lot of synergy and experience there. But yeah, it definitely Google was one of those teams where we were uh, looking at it as our biggest challenge yet. We knew that we had lost to them in the third place game last time, and that was
Mhm.
definitely difficult. But as I said, we changed up our lineup this time, so I think we were very optimistic that we would still come out on top.
Absolutely.
Continuing on that line, if having a new lineup, doing some more going on for this season, trying to improve everything you had going. How did that whole process start? How did the forming of the team essentially happen? I'll throw the one to O'Malley actually.
Um, Actually, a couple of our players have been on much older Facebook teams in CEA in the past, and there's a few different groups of us that have played together on teams beforehand. So we're all kind of coming together to form a team now. So we have some smaller synergies going on with our team, and we're scrimming a lot, trying to get us all come together as a team as a whole. Uh, I think we're getting there. But yeah, Google definitely threw us for a loop with their May comps. So yeah, we've got a lot to work on, but yeah, I think we can learn a lot from this match.
I mean, I would say for both sides of it. I mean, you made the comment in the chat between the two of you between matches where they're just like ban May. I remember somebody was throwing that out there.
Yeah, before King Throw. Yeah, I saw
Didn't
that
work.
coming on. It was like, yeah, it didn't work. No, they actually abused it in fact. So,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, coming out for you there on for the Google side of things, Mod. Obviously you guys played that May on King's Row. That was like the turnaround map. Were you guys confident that was going to be the turnaround at all? Because it was looking not that great before that.
Yeah, we were pretty confident. We've had like a lot of series turnaround on Kings Row with May. Or looking at the list of hybrid maps, and
Mhm.
even though everyone scrims Kings Row the most, we were doing
Yeah.
okay in Brawl against Mace of the Facebook. So we thought, capitalize on our strengths, and that's
No,
That worked
100%.
out
I would
exactly.
agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
you playing that aggressive. That I kind of want to spin that question of, you felt confident playing the aggression. You had the May. It started value. I kind of want to ask now for Facebook, and again, either O'Malley or Colvia can speak on this. How was your adjustment and adaptation to that just very forward pressing aggression that you might not have seen earlier in those first two maps? How did you kind of communicate yourself to your team to be like, all right, how do we kind of contest this?
That's a good question. One I think we're still figuring out. But in theory, as Lucio, it should definitely be my job to be calling like engages and
Mhm.
disengages. I think we were frequently caught by surprise by the wall, and we're just kind of always scrambling to deal with that.
Mhm.
Uh, I think I think we were trying to take fights quickly with like EMP and stuff, and
Mhm.
I think we were generally doing a good job of like ult tracking and stuff. So in theory, we should know what to expect even when Google was taking the fight, like knowing what they were planning to do. I think the difficulty was just that um, we weren't really used to playing against that style of team. Like Will said that every team scrims Kings Row, but actually I think our team plays a lot of Eichenwald in scrims. And we mostly run dive. I think playing against like a full brawl team is something that we just don't have as much experience with. And so definitely adjusting to that degree of aggression and knowing like when to engage and disengage and how to take the fight quickly was something that kind of we struggled a bit with, but I think it was a really good experience and something that we should work more on. I don't know
100%
if,
agree.
yeah, I don't know if
I
you
mean,
have
like,
any comments,
experience.
Connor.
All I'm saying is just wait until that soldier buff and experimental hits. It's gonna be hilarious. What's gonna happen then? But yeah, I mean, of course, both you guys are in the tournament, playing not only for fun but just for a bit more. Yeah, I mean, Maud, could you speak a little bit more to like how the choice of your charity, etc., came about, and like what your goals are for the rest of the tournament?
So our charity is a children's defense fund, and G9Lul has selected that charity for a few seasons in a row right now, I think. It's just a
No.
cause that we're really passionate about. And basically what we want to do is beat teams like Facebook and get more money than we can help our charity the most. So first, and seeing that we beat the first place team last year in a scrim, it's very doable.
Definitely
Yeah.
just gotta
Scrim
reel
bucks.
in the communication, just make sure you clean it up and things like that. And there's still some time though, because again, there are several weeks still to go. So not surprising at all to have an opportunity of, continuing to do well and bring yourself into the playoffs. And as we led with, Google Facebook, we'll ask you the same thing. O'Malley, if you're wanting to speak on it, or Colvia. We can lead with O'Malley if you'd like to kind of talk a little bit about what your aspirations are and your charity that you're involved with.
Yeah, we selected the Trevor Project as our charity donation. We all talked about it, both Instagram and Mace to the Facebook, and we're very confident that we can take first place this season. We're gonna be putting in a lot of work until the grand finals, and yeah,
Coin it now. Coin it now. You have it said. Google's
we're
sitting
taking
here
it.
like, all right, no, we want it. And then you're just like, no, we want it. And then it's just like, now you got the two rivals going back and forth. It's like, this
Right,
is that moment.
all I'm gonna say, last year in the regular season we lost to Facebook, and then when it really mattered, we beat them. So
Yeah, I mean that's what you do it. Win the games that really matter. That's definitely a point.
It's okay. We'll make it like those movie theaters, like when tensions arise between two teams.
Look, Golfia, you want to weigh in here still?
Uh, this definitely did feel like a nice redemption game from the third place game last time, where I think there was a lot going into that third place game. We had beat Google in the regular season, and so I think we I don't want to say that we underestimated them, but I think like we were kind of to some degree like not preparing as much, but I think the bigger issue is like we had a very 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 difficult loss in the semifinals against Adobe, um ironically going against a team that only ran dive. uh so I think like our heads were just not in that last game, but yeah, so this is really nice to sort of like have that nice rematch, to have it be really close, but ultimately get that win. I think is a big morale boost for us, and I agree with O'Malley that I think we have what it takes to take this season and have no doubts about that. So yeah.
Well, to both of you, well, to both teams, but to all three of you, continue confidence in the gameplay that you have, because as ManofClass and myself saw today, it was intense and it was very close. So there is a lot of talent here in front of us. And again, it's all for that amazing cause for your charities. So it's been a stellar opportunity to see you today. if you're on the same trajectory, being in the playoffs, I know that in these few weeks from now, we'll be seeing you probably clashing once again very soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
Well, thank you
it's,
so. Go ahead. You're good. You're good, man.
I really hope we just can like organize some sort of stare off through Zoom or something. You know, just, like,
It's like the
stare down before the
face-offs
You
with
mean
like
through
the
Google Meet?
right.
Yeah. Hey, look, just through some sort of application that both parties are happy with, you know, I was just selecting, maybe we can find some neutral ground that you both are happy with. We'll be fine. We'll figure something
Right.
out.
It's
Can
okay.
set that up.
We'll have everybody. We'll have everybody from each team. So we'll have all of Facebook do like a face off to the
Yeah.
right, and then we'll have all of
Yeah.
Google do face off,
Instead
and then we'll like Photoshop it in and like make it like
yeah.
no match
Photoshop.
kind of thing.
We'll figure something out. It'll be great. Thank you guys at least for being here, for having a little bit of chat with us. We always really like to hear about what you guys thought about the games and what you're looking forward to in the next one, and of course about your charities and your teams in general. So yeah, thank you for being here, and yeah, we'll hope good luck in your next games, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you so very much, my friends. And for those of you that have been tuning in and were also involved in an intense matchup between the two, you can always find out more. Again, taking a very unique change to the traditional method corporate environment. Instead of playing softball, physical sports, things like that, we've got a virtual battlefield that these two teams just put everything on the line for. And you can go ahead, like I said, that information in the lower section, and also tune in for our next week game, which is going to be again at that 12 p.m. PST time for Overwatch for the remaining rest of this round robin season. Before get all that information, like I said below, I just want to make sure you know that because we want you to continue supporting and be involved. It has been an absolute pleasure here with you today, ManofClass, for another round of casting today. We had two back-to-backs, first the Valorant, now the Overwatch, and it's been an exciting day, I would say, for both of us.
Yeah, it really has been. Of course, next week we both hope that everything is just going to be back to normal. Not that this wasn't fun, but it's always good to have some consistency. So we'll hope to see all of you in other CEA streams and more of our CEA streams, just wherever we can really find you. Keep on gaming, keep on supporting, and keep on spreading the love. Have a good one. Have a good weekend, and goodbye.